Welcome to this session of the FDP, which is on tracking the collaborative efforts. To begin with, I would like to remind all of you that you are supposed to do an activity which was to visit and explore two websites, write your comments on how the site could be used for collaboration, and then you have to prepare a small text file and mail it to all members of your team. This is the team which is participating in preparing the OER as a team assignment. I hope you have done this activity. If you have not, I request you to kindly finish that activity before proceeding with this video clip. In this session, we are going to consider tracking the collaboration. We know that every collaborative effort involves some participants, some activities which they perform, and finally there is an end result. In our case, it will be an OER. Usually it is some artifact or a work of art. We need to maintain the history as we have already seen. We need to remember who did what, when, where, and perhaps why. Now, this recording has to be done while the activities are taking place. It cannot be done later. Also, the final artifact that we create, whether it's a video clip, whether it is a set of questions for a quiz, whether it is a project proposal, whatever, the artifact must be firstly usable, which means it must be elaborately documented. More importantly, a license, such as a Creative Commons license that we shall be using, must be explicitly mentioned. Next, the artifact must be accessible. It must be stored properly. Finally, the artifact must be searchable. So it must be tagged properly. Otherwise, we'll create something useful which people would not know where to find and how to find. In short, we need to maintain the history of our entire collaboration as well as important details about the final OER which we create. Let's consider the collaboration to create an OER in some more details. First of all, we need to record people who collaborate. So who joined and when did a person join? What role did a member perform? Whether a member was a leader, whether a member was a designer, or a writer, or a reviewer, or an editor, or a publisher, any role that is performed by a member, and please remember, a member may perform multiple roles, but all of these need to be recorded. During the collaboration, there will be communication. We need to capture what did people communicate, with whom did they communicate, and when they communicated. Finally, there must be a record of activities carried out, who did what, when. And at the end, as we just saw, the OER produced must be properly documented, which means we need to maintain the versions of that OER during its creation, a modification history. We must create tags which will permit us to later on search that OER from amongst many that exist, which means we must provide tags which describe the various attributes. Let us briefly describe how the collaboration is to be managed. Typically, we would have one or more meetings. The meetings should have a defined agenda, the meeting should be notified, and minutes should be maintained. The conduct of the meeting itself must be done very meticulously, time has to be kept, and decisions have to be taken and they have to be recorded. Typically, in the first collaborative meeting, allocation of roles and activities will happen. To begin with, you have to elect or select or nominate a leader. Once you agree on a leader, then jointly with that leader, you will have to decide on allocation of responsibilities to different individuals. What activity who will perform? Please remember that a single individual might actually perform more than one role or carry out more than one activity. Finally, you will have to prepare to begin with, a tentative schedule of your activities, because you know what is the total time that has been decided upon in which to complete the collaborative effort. And therefore, you will define the schedule of activities, which will include the schedule for communication, such as communication through emails. Last but not the least, the entire collaborative effort has to be monitored, reviewed, and you have to freeze things at the end of the day. Please note that when you carry out these activities, there will be delays, and you will have to manage those delays. These are management parlance, these are called time overruns. There might be an occasion when an individual member simply is unable to complete the tasks allocated, in which case the team has to do a task reallocation, and this would be this will have to be handled as some kind of an emergency. So, coming back again to the team assignment for this FDP, we know that teams are formed at each remote center. We know that members of a team will collaborate to create an OER. So, as just mentioned, you will have to decide what roles a member will perform, whether somebody will be a leader, somebody will be a designer, somebody will be a writer, creator, reviewer, whatever. You have to decide on how members will communicate with whom and when. So you have to decide on the meeting schedules, if any. You have to decide on the email formats, email scheduling, who will send emails when. You will have to decide on who will do the file uploads. Activities carried out by individual members need to be recorded. There will be different activities. For example, somebody will be just thinking about an idea, somebody will be designing something, somebody will be documenting something, somebody will be reviewing something. Typically, a diary should be maintained by each individual so that there is a record of who did what where. Here is an example of a project diary entry of a student. We'll call him X. He is a typical student of a team project which is carried out as a part of the course that I offer, a programming course. So look at the entry. On 10th February 2016, from 6:30 in the evening to 7:45, there was a meeting in the lab. Look at the recording that the student has done. Decided to join the team L2G5T14. This is some cryptic nomenclature which was enforced to easily identify individual teams, because there were 500 students in the course. Participated in a brief meeting with members in the lab itself. Major decision recorded. Decided to work on a project to write programs for simulating a game of snakes and ladder. Notice some details which are recorded here. T is the team lead. Y, Z and me, who is X, are other members. So the membership is recorded. I have to design and write code for the graphic user interface. So my role is now decided. I will be in charge of documentation and file uploads. So I have two roles to play. Both of these are recorded here. And finally, the action that I did that day, uploaded team info on the course Moodle. Please note that we as Indians are not habituated to writing diaries. But for this OER, I strongly recommend that each one must maintain an individual diary. In any case, the entire team will have to submit a consolidated diary whose format will be indicated shortly. You will not be able to consolidate such a team diary unless each individual maintains records of, as I said, what did you do when and what were the specific actions that you took. We conclude this session. The subsequent sessions will be uploaded on Thursday evening. Ordinarily, you have the entire week to look at the material for that week at any point in time. In this particular week, I am constraining you and requesting you to kindly complete the activities related to these two video clips. Complete that activity by Thursday. On Thursday, we shall upload additional videos which will be relevant for continuing with your collaborative team efforts. Thank you.